Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the first part of this video, which was entirely in Blender. If you haven't watched that video yet, you can click the I button on the top, or you can click on the first link in the description. That would take you to the first part of this video. As I said earlier in the previous video, that it all looks good, but we can make this even much better in compositing. As you can see, this is my entire timeline over here in Davinci Resolve. You can see the number of sound effects that I have added over here, the titles, the text, the background. I will walk you through each and every step that I did in order to get the final output. Okay, so before getting started, I would like you to show the project settings that I am using. Over here, as you can see, the aspect ratio is the same that I used for the render, which was 2048 by 1080, and the frame rate is 24 fps. Other than that, you can check the color management. Everything is set as default. To import your frames into Davinci Resolve, all you have to do is head over to this media option, and then you will get this directory option. Locate the folder where you have saved the frames. In my case, this was in Blender, and then in sneaker animations, and then frames shot 2. Now since we have exported it as a PNG image sequence, it won't show as an image sequence directly in Davinci Resolve. For that, you have to click this 3 dot icon, go to frame display mode and set it to sequence. If it is set to individual, this is what it would look like. And then if you drag and drop it into media panel, then only one image at a time could be imported. But we want it as an image sequence since this is our animation. So go to frame display mode and change it to sequence. And then you can drag and drop it over here in the media panel. You can see these are the clips that I added. And do this for every shot that you have done. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is trim the clips. Now I know as a 3D artist, you spend hours trying to make the details look better, trying to animate it all manually just to trim it later in editing. I know that hurts, but you have to do that. Since the duration was supposed to be 30 seconds maximum for this challenge, I had to trim and speed up lot of clips. To trim any clip, you can just select the clip, press Ctrl B to trim the clip, and then just press on the clip you don't want and just press backspace to delete it. Make sure you press backspace and not the delete button, because if you click on delete button, it will also delete anything below it from the starting point of your cursor. And to speed up any of your clips, just press on the clip and then press Ctrl R. After this, you can select this option over here and change the speed. You can change it to 200%. Now it will move twice as fast. Now let's talk about transitions. As you can see over here, I've added this transition of fade in and fade out. Although I did plan transitions in Blender, like we talked about how the shot 1 and shot 2 connected, but sometimes it's easier to do that in compositing later. Like over here, I've added fade in and fade out. And as you can see, I ran into a problem over here since this was a cylinder and this is a cube. So the first and second shot didn't match at all. So what I did was trim this clip. If you could remember that I had a animation of this shoe flying out to the left side, I trimmed it, and now it just goes towards this next shot. Since this is zoomed in and we had motion blur enabled in Blender, this kind of connects together like this. So even if you do plan in Blender and make transitions, you would run into some problems later, and that's what compositing is for. You can fix your mistakes in compositing later. If I disable this track over here, you can see the background vanishes. Since we use transparency for the render, we don't have a background. It's quite easy to add background in Davinci. Just go to effects and generators, and then you can find solid color over here. Just drag and drop it into your timeline. After that, click on your solid color and make sure inspector is enabled, and then click on the color you want. You can select any color, or you can also pick your screen color. In order to do that, just head over to any frame you want, click on color, pick screen color, then you can select your shoe color, and as you can see, you have this perfectly lit background as no light is affecting it. And that's what I've used for this entire video. And as you remember, I had a shot where the shoes color kept changing. For that, I selected the original solid color layer and I copy pasted it and then trimmed accordingly where the colors used to change of the shoe. And as you can see, the yellow shoe has the yellow background, the purple shoe has the purple background, and so on. Earlier I used to add a backdrop in Blender, but then I had to light it up using lights and it just didn't used to work very well. So this time I went with this method and I'm quite happy with the output. Now as you can see over here, we are showing the flexibility of the shoe and the feathers to show how lightweight the shoe is, and over here soft cushioning, and over here different layers, and over here different types of colors available. Now I know this because I've made the video, but what about the viewer? They don't know what they are looking at. They don't know if this was supposed to be flexible or it was just an animation that I did. So for that we are going to add text. As you can see, now it says flexible. Now the viewer would understand, oh okay, it's supposed to be flexible, it's supposed to be lightweight, it has soft cushioning, it has different layers, and you can customize the shoe. First of all, you can go to effects and go to titles and then add this text plus over here in your timeline. I'm using the Poppins font for this. It's set to bold. Then you can go over to settings. The benefit of rendering it as a transparent render was, now I can add the text below the render and in between the background layer, so I don't have to mask or do any kind of rotoscoping to remove the shoe and add the text behind the object. I also animated the text. So for that, what I did here was, as you can see, the shoe is moving, right? So as you can see over here, the text is moving along with the shoe, showing it is also flexible. To make this effect, what I did was I used this pitch option over here in the transform menu, and then I keyframed it so the shoe is flexing over to the right side and the text is also pitching towards the right side over here. And that's what I did. I added a keyframe for that. And as you can see, the flexible should be completely behind this shoe, right? But you can't make out the word that it was flexible. So what I did was I copied the text and added it on top of the render layer, but it was getting completely on top. So what I did was I deleted FLE and LE. So I only kept the X, I and B on the top, and FLE and LE is on the bottom layer. So I copied the same animation and this is what it looks like. It turned out to be pretty great. After that, let's move towards the lightweight one. As you can see, the feathers are coming from the right direction and moving towards left. So that's what I wanted with the text too. So what I did here was, so I animated it cropping from right to left. And after this, in the soft cushioning part, as you can see, the shoe presses itself to show how soft it is. So I did the same effect with the text too. I just stretched it out by keyframing it, and then it just pops back to its original position. In this section, I wanted the text to move around the shoe because it is kind of forming an arc over here. So what I did was just click on the text, go to layout and select the type to circle. It will follow the circle. You can set the size and everything over here. and then I just keyframed it. Since there was a cube and we have kept it behind the cube, it appears from behind the cube and then it stops over here, and then the shoe falls down. Before that, it goes behind the cube. And for this color changing effect, initially I was going to keep the text as colors, but the text was kind of small and it would hide behind the shoe, so the viewer couldn't understand what the text was saying. So what I thought about, why not use the word customize, since on Nike's official website they do give you the option to customize your shoes. So I went with the word customize, and before the shoe came in the frame, I added the text so you can see the word customize, and it's behind the shoe, and then it just disappears. And for the last shot, as I said earlier, I will be adding the Nike logo in compositing, and that's what I did. I downloaded this Nike swoosh logo and this Nike text logo from the internet. Then I went into Photoshop and changed the color so it matches our whole scene. As you can see over here, the shoe does the moonwalk and only half the Nike logo appears over here, and then when the shoe falls down, the other half reveals itself. And this is exactly the kind of effect I wanted. I'm not doing any masking or any kind of effect similar to that. What I'm doing is just cropping this image and keyframing it. I'll show you how I did that. If you can see over here, this image is not visible until now, and then I've keyframed it to crop it left, and then over here it is cropped to right, and then it goes back to its original position, and that's how I reveal the logo over here. And after that, the Nike word logo just pops in. So far so good. The only thing that's remaining now is sound design, and this is kind of the hardest part to do. I will show you where I found my sounds and music from. For sound effects, I used to use this software called Soundly. You can download it from their website. It has two versions. It has a free version and it also has a premium version, but I find the free version to be useful as well. It has the basic sounds that you need, like swooshes, whips and transition effects. And the second one is Pixabay. Now this is a website where you can also download stock photos, videos and illustrations and many other stuff, but we are interested with sound effects, so you can download various sound effects from over here. So as you can see, these are royalty free music downloads that you can download from Pixabay. The music I went with is this music right over here. I had downloaded many other songs for this video, but it didn't quite sound right with this animation, so I went with this one. Trust me, choosing music is the hardest part while editing a video. After downloading your music, you can import them as you imported your clip over here, and from your media panel just drag and drop them on your timeline. For this particular shot, I wanted to create a suspense kind of look, like a dramatic look, so the viewer gets to see that it is a shoe, but you can't tell which shoe is it. The light is wrapping around the edges of the shoe. So for that, what I did was I added this car passing by sounds which go from left to right. So you can see over here, as the light is moving from left, I use that sound effect over here, and for the right I use that sound. And this sound effect right here is just to create a dramatic effect. It's a riser sound, and this is the boom sound effect. And here is just a classic swoosh sound effect. Now here is a little tip. You can't always find the right sound effect that you want, so you have to improvise. Like over here, this was kind of sped up a little bit, so what I did was went on speed change over here in the inspector tab, and then reduce the speed, and when you play it, it matches the animation. Here you can see another swoosh effect, and then here is a whoosh effect. Again swoosh sound effect, whoosh, whoosh. Now what I'm doing is, the object comes into frame, so I've added a swoosh sound effect for that, and the object rotates. So I added another swoosh effect for that. And over here, as you know, we have showed how flexible the shoe is. So for that I had to find the right sound effect. Unfortunately, I didn't have a sound effect of a shoe flexing like this. So I did a lot of research, and then over here in Soundly I found a toy sound. I think it was a balloon squeaking or something. So I tweaked it a little bit. I changed its speed and the pitch and sense, and then it's kind of started sounding like the shoe is flexing a little bit. As you can see, the feathers appear in the frame. I didn't found any sound effect related to feathers. So what I did was I found a sound effect which was of forest and leaves in wind. So that's what I am using over here. Another whoosh effect. Whenever the object rotates or moves or there is any transition, I am using a swoosh or whoosh effect. But make sure you don't overuse it and it won't sound that good. And as for this cushioning effect, the shoe gets pressed. I again didn't have any sound effect for that. This is the same sound effect from the flexible shot. These are some swoosh effects. Now for the color changes, what I did was I didn't add any swoosh effect. What I did was I added a finger snapping effect. So over here, this is a snap. When the color changes, it snaps. Now the snaps were quite repeating, so what I did was sometimes reverse the snaps or sped it up a little bit. And swoosh effect, swoosh effect. For this part, I had to find a footstep sound effect, and that's what I did. These are footsteps. I made sure to match it with my animation. The skateboard sound effect was quite hard to find, since most of them were just sound effect of the wheel of the skateboard running across the road, but that's not what I wanted. So after a lot of research, I found a skateboard in a park sound effect, and that's what I'm using over here. Then I found a kickflip sound effect. That's what I'm using over here. It's all about matching it with your shot. Over here, what we are doing is again the footsteps, and again this here was quite hard to find because no one has a moonwalk sound effect. So I found a shoe sliding on the floor and then timed it with my animation. And as for this part over here, this was kind of looking weird. So what I did was I keyframed it to move it out of the frame and added a swoosh sound effect at the end. Now moving on to the music, we only have 30 seconds over here. Since the beginning part was already heavy with sound effects, I started the music over here and I went through the music many times until I found the right spot. Over here, in most of the musics that you will find, there is always a part where the beat drops, and that's what I like to use at the ending of the video. Not the complete end, but like the second last portion of the video. So over here, as you can see, this is the beat part and I have kept it, and then you can fade it a little bit by using the slider. So it's gently fading out while the animation is ending. You can do that for the beginning as well. It can gently fade in, so it does not sound abrupt directly. And after that, make sure your music is not too loud. As you can see, I have reduced it to -10 over here. And same with the sound effects, they do not need to be too loud. They need to be subtle so that your viewer notices them subconsciously. After everything, I still felt like the shots were not looking that great, as you can see over here. This was before color correction. So after color correcting, this is what it looks like. As you can see over here, it looks a little bit dull, but after color correcting, it pops out a little bit. So you can do that from over here in the color tab. I'm not an expert in color correcting or color grading. I adjusted the curves a little bit, that's all I did, and increased a little bit of saturation and contrast. Then I applied those color correction to every clip, and after that, this is what it looks like. And as for the export settings, these are the export settings. I'm using 48,000 kbps. The same settings as per the project settings. Add them to render queue and then hit render all. So now that we have edited the entire animation in Davinci Resolve, let's compare the before and after. If you have come this far in the video, then thank you for watching. It was my first long tutorial video that I uploaded on this channel. If you did love this video, then make sure to like and also subscribe, as this would help the channel grow and help me make more awesome content like this. I would also like to thank the creative staff for hosting this challenge, because without that, this tutorial wouldn't have been possible. I had fun making this animation and this tutorial. Making this tutorial was quite a ride, with recording the video for the very first time and the storage space almost running out on my devices. And plus now I also have to edit this video and upload it as soon as possible to YouTube. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any feedback or suggestions, then drop them in the comments below. See you in my next video. Cut, 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 cut.